Here, Josh Rodda just competed and lifted over 2,000 pounds, 2,000.6.
0.6, yes.
And because of that, first of all, you reached the goal, which was 2,000 pounds.
Right.
Secondly, you advanced to the Arnold, which is in March.
Yes.
And a big honor. I know you're really excited about going there.
Yeah.
So kind of condense that experience. Talk about what went on at the competition up there in Paducah, Kentucky.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was. I knew it was going to be a bigger meet, but once I found out that actually two of the guys that I really look up to, but one guy for sure, his name's T. Cummings. He's sponsored by 8 Man Strong, and just a solid guy, good Christian guy, good dad, and all that stuff. And once I found out he was going to be competing, I knew that it was going to be fun. And then another guy named Josh Morris. He's a super heavyweight. Totals over 2,300 pounds. So it was. I knew it was going to be a different experience. So going into it, I was super nervous. Couldn't even make myself eat that day. I really tried to. I was just too nervous. We had over 25 people drive from here. It was a 5-hour drive to go up there and just to watch me lift weights. I mean, it was humbling and exciting to see the support that people have and they're willing to do for a friend just to come up and watch me lift weights. So it was a great experience.
So this is the culmination of 3 years that you've been involved in powerlifting.
Yes.
And kind of take us through how you got really involved in powerlifting, who got you involved, and the progress on how you moved up the ladder on your weights and stuff like that.
Well, go back about 8 years ago. My best friend and brother from another mother, Mario Allday, he stayed into lifting and really tried to, after high school, really tried to keep me lifting weights, but I didn't, and I got lazy. And 7 or 8 years ago, he finally got to me, and I said, well, okay, I'll start lifting with you, and really started enjoying the process of feeling my body change and getting stronger again and things like that. So the more involved we got, we started looking at different gyms in the area and found a place called the Grit House in Cleveland, and really found a gold mine there because they've got elite bodybuilders, they've got elite powerlifters, all that stuff. And so I really kind of leaned towards the powerlifter side and found my coach there, Dan Arena, who's an accomplished powerlifter himself, good Christian guy, very intelligent, and he took me to the next level. I trained with him for about 8 weeks because I signed up for the meet and said, hey, Dan, I need you to train me. And so we had 8 weeks, and he had a lot of fixing to do with me because I had a lot of bad form on my bench was okay. It needed work too, but my deadlift and my squat were pretty bad. So our numbers weren't as good as we wanted to my first meet because he had so much fixing to do, some bad things that I've learned over the years. And so I totaled, I think it was 1665. I squatted 575, benched 450, and deadlifted 640. Took an entire year, did the same meet a year later, and really focused on diet, really focused on form, and went by his training. And when you attack something like that intelligently with research-based training, it pays off. So I went from a 575 squat to a 678 squat. I went from a 450 bench to a 529 bench, and deadlift went from 640 to 727. Totaled 1934 and a half my next meet. And so it's just like anything else. When you first start something, you see the most gains. It's like when you start a diet and you're really overweight, you can lose a lot of weight right off the bat. But and the same thing here. I got a lot of strength right off the bat. But and I took 8 months after that to compete at this one, and increased my total by was that 66 pounds. So not as much progression in 8 months as the last year, but it was good, solid progress. So we had a goal and we set out and we achieved it. It was a good time.
Talk about your faith, and I know you're a man of faith, and you really put that out there as far as it being some of the motivation that pushes you along with your family. Talk about how you integrate that and how that affects you.
Well, I mean, I've got a tattoo on my shoulder that says it's Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It's my base. It's what I was raised. My parents raised me to. That's my cornerstone of my life. I wouldn't be anything without Christ. My wife and my son, they're my why. The people that I train, you know, one of the first things we do when we talk about changing your body or changing your lifestyle is your why. Why are you doing this? What are your goals? But because whenever you're doing anything in life, you know, you have these times where you excuses come up and all this other stuff to where you want to quit. So you have to fall back on that why. You know, there were times during this training cycle I was beat up. My elbows were so inflamed. I was really questioning whether I was going to be able to do it or not. But my faith and my why, you know, I had to show my son that you got to fight through things. You got to, if you have a goal and you set your mind to do something, you put it out there, you're going to do something. There's no brakes on that. You go. You finish. You finish what you start, no matter what. So that's what keeps me motivated. What keeps me grinding every day is my why.
Okay. Now, I understand you do some training and mentoring and some programs.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I've got I train people. I do programming. I do personal training and programming. What I've been doing a lot of lately is writing people's programs for them. That way, they don't have to pay the extra for the one-on-one. They get their programming, go in the gym and do it, and go home. And it's at their pace and all that. So I do have a lot of people that I train. I've got a couple of high school football players that I do in their off season. Jackson Langley and Avery Allday. I've trained those guys all summer. And I think it's really going to pay off for them this year in their football season. They worked really hard all summer. So yeah, I do that on the side. And if you got anybody out there wants to get with me, just contact me through Instagram, The Walls of Jericho Training, or my Facebook page, or my email is joshrodda@gmail.com.
Fantastic. Excellent job of interviewing, almost as good as your weightlifting.